Ano nga ba talaga ang totoong nangyari sa Cavite Mutiny? In 1872, the Cavite Mutiny was the significant event that resulted to the martyrdom of the three priests, Padre Burgos, Gomez, at Zamora. However, this event today became a controversy. Why? It is because there are many primary sources, there are many points of view, and there are many conflicting stories about the particular event. Ito yung ating topic sa video ito. Kaya, kung nag-aaral ka ng readings in the Philippine history, or maybe you are a history student or a history lover, keep watching this video dahil may matutunan ka at the end. There are many accounts about the Cavite Mutiny. However, we are going to classify these accounts into two: the account from the Spaniards and the account coming from the Filipinos. So we are going to revisit these accounts and try to analyze of which accounts tell us of the truth about the Cavite Mutiny. The first account was coming from Jose Montero y Vidal in 1872. This is the Spanish version of the Cavite Mutiny, which was cited also by Gregorio Zaide and Sonia Zaide in their book on the primary sources of the Philippine history in 1990. So, ano ang sabi ni Mr. Montero about the Cavite Mutiny? This is the Spanish version. Montero had written that the abolition of privileges enjoyed by the laborers of the Cavite as a null of exemption from the tribute was, according to some, the cause of the insurrection. There were, however, other causes. The Spanish Revolution, which overthrew a secular throne, the propaganda carried on by an unbridled press against monarchical principles, attentatories of the most sacred respects towards the dethroned majesty, the democratic and republican books and pamphlets, the speeches and preachings of the apostles of these new ideas in Spain, the outbursts of the American publicists, and the criminal policy of the senseless governor whom the revolutionary government sent to govern the Philippines, and who put into practice these ideas were the determining circumstances which gave rise among certain Filipinos to the idea of attaining their independence. It was towards this goal that they started to work with the powerful assistance of a certain section of the native clergy who, out of spite towards friars, made common cause with the enemies of the mother country. Sa account na ito, klarong-klaro na ipinalabas ni Montero that the primary cause of the Cavite Mutiny was to overthrow the Spanish government. And of course, this was due to the abolition of the privileges sa mga Pilipino. And klarong-klaro din sa kanyang sinabi that the Filipinos were supported by the native clergy. So definitely, ang tinutukoy niya ay si Padre Burgos, Gomez at Zamora. Kaya nga ito yung naging dahilan kung bakit at the end of the Cavite Mutiny, the three priests were executed. Montero added that at various times, but especially in the beginning of year 1872, the authorities received anonymous communications with the information that a great uprising would break out against the Spaniards the minute the fleet at Cavite left for the south, and that all would be assassinated, including the friars. But nobody gave importance to these notices. The conspiracy had been going on since the days of La Torre with utmost secrecy. At times, the principal leaders met either in the house of Filipino Spaniard, Dr. Joaquin Pardo de Tavera, or in that of the native priest Jacinto Zamora, and these meetings were usually attended by the curate of Bacoor, the soul of the movement, whose energetic character and immense wealth enabled him to exercise a strong influence. Makikita talaga natin sa Spanish account na ito ni Montero na idinawit si Father Jacinto Zamora sa Cavite Mutiny, na sila daw yung nagsimula ng mga meetings, sila daw yung nag-organize about the revolution that would happen. Ngayon, puntahan naman natin yung pangalawang Spanish account na galing kay Rafael Izquierdo, or tinatawag na Governor Rafael Izquierdo, who was a Spanish governor, and he had this account also on the official report. Sabi niya about the Cavite Mutiny in 1872. Ito yung sinasabi niya. It seems definite that the insurrection was motivated and prepared by the native clergy, by the mestizos and the native lawyers, and by those known here as abogadillos. The instigators to carry out their criminal project protested against the injustice of the government in not paying the provinces for their tobacco crop, and against the usury that some practice in documents that the finance department gives crop owners who have to sell them at a loss. They encouraged the rebellion by protesting what they called the injustice of having obliged the workers in the Cavite arsenal to pay tribute starting January 1 and to render personal service from which they were formally exempted. So, base sa aking binasa, klarong-klaro na idinawit na naman yung mga native clergy at saka yung mga native lawyers, mga abogadillos, na sila daw yung utak ng Cavite Mutiny. Totoo nga ba ito? Titingnan natin mamaya yung mga accounts also coming from the Filipino versions. Izquierdo continued that up to now, it has not been clearly determined if they plan to establish a monarchy or a republic, because the Indios have no word in their language to describe this different form of government, whose head in Filipino would be called hari. But it turns out that they would place at the head of the government as a priest, that the head selected would be Padre Jose Burgos and Padre Jacinto Zamora. Such is the plan of the rebels, those who guided them, and the means they counted upon for its realization. Therefore, base sa dalawang Spanish accounts, klarong-klaro that ipinalabas nila that the reason of the Cavite Mutiny was the abolition of the privileges enjoyed by the workers of the Cavite arsenal, of not paying taxes, and of not giving the tribute, yung tinatawag nilang forced labor na binigay ng mga Kastila sa mga Pilipino. And ang mas masakit pa dito is that the native clergy such as Gumborza were actually connected, dinawit. Tapos, yung pang mga native mestizos at saka yung mga native lawyers. And ang question lang is, was it true? Or ito'y paratang lamang ng mga Kastila in order to cement their dominance in the Philippine Islands? Ano nga ba ang totoo? Bago natin puntahan yung versions ng mga Filipinos about the Cavite Mutiny, titingnan muna natin yung detalye ng revolusyon. Ano ba talaga ang nangyari? Bakit natalo agad yung mga Cavitenyos? Bakit hindi sila nanalo in killing the Spanish leaders and overthrowing the Spanish government? Bakit hindi sila nanalo at ano talaga yung nangyari in 1872? On January 20, 1872, the district of Sampaloc celebrated the feast of the Virgin of Loreto, and came with it were some fireworks displayed. The Cavitenyos allegedly mistook this as the signal to commence with the attack. The 200-men contingent, led by Sergeant Lamadrid, attacked the Spanish officers at sight and seized the arsenal. Izquierdo, upon learning of the attack, ordered the reinforcement of the Spanish forces in Cavite to quell the revolt. The revolution was easily crushed when the Manileños who were expected to aid the Cavitenyos did not arrive. Leaders of the plot were killed in resulting skirmish, while Fathers Gomez, Burgos, and Zamora were tried by a court-martial and sentenced to be executed. Others who were implicated, such as Joaquin Pardo de Tavera, Antonio Maria Regidor, Jose and Payo Baza, and other Filipino lawyers, were suspended from the practice of law, arrested, and sentenced to life imprisonment at the Marianas Island. Izquierdo dissolved the native regiments of artillery and ordered the creation of an artillery force composed exclusively by Peninsulares. And because of this incident, on February 17, 1872, the three priests, Gomburza, were executed. It was done in front of many Filipinos kasi gustong ipakita ng mga Espanyol that it was a threat to the Filipinos to start a revolution, to move against the Spanish government. The execution of the three priests was done in public because the Spaniards wanted to threat the Filipinos not to conduct another revolution against the Spanish government. Gusto ng mga Espanyol na makita ng mga Pilipino na kamatayan ang magiging kabayaran if they will commit another revolution. Ngayon guys, puntahan naman natin yung account ng Filipino version of the Cavite Mutiny. Let's start with the account of Pardo de Tavera. Ano ang sabi ni Tavera about the Cavite Mutiny? Tavera says, "This uprising among the soldiers in Cavite was used as a powerful level by the Spanish residents and by the friars. The central government in Madrid had announced its intention to deprive the friars in these islands of powers of intervention in matters of civil government and of the direction and management of the university. It was due to these facts and promises that the Filipinos had great hopes of an improvement in the affairs of their country, while the friars, on the other hand, feared that their power in the colony would soon be complete, a thing of the past. Up to that time, there had been no intention of secession from Spain, and the only aspiration of the people was to secure the material and educational advancement of the country." It was very clear in this account of Tavera that the incident was simply a mutiny done by the laborers of Cavite as a form of protest against the wrong leadership. The laborers were dissatisfied about the leadership of Governor Izquierdo in their place, such as yung abolition of their privileges. Ito yung mga dissatisfaction nila. They were just protesting the leadership of Izquierdo. And according to Tavera, the Cavitenyos were just protesting because the governor Izquierdo prohibited them to establish the School of Arts and Trades. You know that? So, the government of Izquierdo did not allow the Filipinos to develop or to found the School of Arts and Trades for the Filipinos. Ito pa yung masaklap ha. The Spaniards, especially the friars, made use of the Cavite Mutiny to cement their dominance in our country. Kasi, ang nangyari na kasi in Central Madrid, there was this prohibition of the friars to interfere with the affairs of the civil government and of course in the affairs of education. So, gusto ng mga friars na continuous yung kanilang dominance in the matters of politics and in the matters of controlling the educational system of the Philippine Islands. Now, let us look at another account, and this account supports the claims of Tavera. And this account is coming from a French writer, and his name is Edmond. And in this account, we try to understand the real motivations of the Cavitenyos in having that mutiny that happened in 1872. According to the account of Edmond in the Cavite Mutiny, General La Torre created a junta composed of high officials, including some friars and 6 Spanish officials. At the same time, there was created by the government in Madrid a committee to investigate the same problems submitted to the Manila Committee. When the two finished work, it was found that they came to the same conclusions. Here is the summary of the reforms they considered necessary to introduce. Number 1. Changes in tariff rates at customs and the methods of collection. Second, removal of surcharges on foreign importations. Third, reduction of export fees. Fourth, permission for foreigners to reside in the Philippines, buy real estate, enjoy freedom of worship, and operate commercial transports flying the Spanish flag. Number 5, establishment of an advisory council to inform the Minister of Overseas Affairs in Madrid on the necessary reforms to be implemented. 6. Changes in primary and secondary education. 7. Establishment of an Institute of Civil Administration in the Philippines, rendering unnecessary the sending home of short-term civil officials every time there is a change of ministry. 8. Study of direct tax system. 9. The abolition of the tobacco monopoly. Yun yung mga pangarap ng mga Pilipino. They just wanted to have reforms. However, their dreams ended when General Izquierdo arrived in Manila, because General Izquierdo did not like to have the reforms, and Izquierdo did not want to give the reforms to the Filipinos because, of course, the Spanish government, including the Spanish friars, wanted to continue their political and economic dominance in the Philippine Islands. And based on the decree in Madrid, there has to be a school in Manila, and that was a Society of Arts and Trades to be opened in Manila in 1871. However, General Izquierdo suspended inauguration, and he did not like that the school will be founded in the Manila. So, eto yung totoong nangyari. Para sa akin, mas kapanipaniwala itong accounts that are coming from the Filipinos and the accounts that are not coming from the Spaniards, kasi the Spaniards themselves were biased in their presentations of the event. Of course, they wanted to present their side. Biased talaga sila sa kanilang sides. And ito yung totoong nangyari. The friars used the incident as part of a larger conspiracy that they want to cement their political and economic dominance in the Philippine Islands. Definitely, if we are going to analyze the accounts based on the Filipino versions, the Filipinos, especially the Cavitenyos, just wanted to have equal rights. They just wanted to enjoy their privileges. They just want to protest. And they wanted that Governor General Izquierdo would allow the establishment of the school in Manila that would be governed by Filipinos. However, ayun na nga, General Izquierdo did not like it to happen. And so, there was this protest that happened. However, base sa mga Espanyol, they considered it as larger revolution with the aim of total overthrowing of the Spanish government in the Philippines. Ngunit, sa kabila ng lahat, magkaiba man ang kwento, magkaiba man ang versions ng Cavite Mutiny that happened in 1872. Iisa lang ang hinantungan ng pangyayaring ito, and that was the execution of the three Filipino native priests, Padre Burgos, Gomez, at Zamora. At sa kasaysayan, ito ay isang horrifying event that happened in the Filipinos' lives, because for them, it was a witness of real execution. Yung pinapatay yung mga Pilipino harap-harapan and threatening them that death will be experienced by the Filipinos if they would like to conduct or make a revolution against the government of Spain. That ends our video today, and again, this is Sir Jun Michael, and thank you for listening, and I hope that you have learned something from this discussion. If you have more questions, just feel free to comment in the comment section. And regarding to my sources in this discussion, I'll put the sources in the comment section. Again, this is Sir Jun Michael, your philosophy and social science teacher. Thank you, and God bless you.